Mike Cardano with Roto Experts on the Fantasy Sports Network, here to take a look at the 110th Major League Baseball World Series between the San Francisco Giants and the Kansas City Royals. Game 1 starts tonight in Kansas City's Kauffman Stadium, and we're going to take a look at some of the things that we learned from playing fantasy baseball this season to help analyze the matchup. Now, this marks the first time a World Series showcased that two teams won fewer than 90 games in the regular season. Kansas City finished 89-73 and San Francisco finished 88-74. It is the second time the World Series features two wild card teams. The 2002 World Series between the Angels and the Giants was the first. Now, purists probably don't like the fact that the regular season's best teams aren't represented here, but I kind of like the energy that this type of series brings. Now, neither of the two clubs faced elimination in the past two rounds, but both had to win do-or-die wild card playing games. Now, the Royals have home field advantage here, thanks to that stupid rule of having the All-Star winner get home field advantage. Now, Kansas City and San Francisco both had just 3 players participate in that deciding home field All-Star game, which, of course, makes this process a complete joke, but hey, it is what it is, and so that's how they'll play it. Now, including the 8 straight playoff wins, the Royals are 49-27 since the All-Star break. That's a 162-game pace of 104-58. Call them Cinderella story or an underdog if you wish, but this has been Major League Baseball's best team since the Midsummer Classic. Now, the Royals led the major leagues in steals with 153, that's 15 more than the next closest team. And they were also tops in stolen base percentage, so not only do they run frequently, but they're darn good at it too. Buster Posey threw out 30% of would-be base stealers this season, compared to a league average of just 28%, and that's good. But overall, only 6 teams allowed more stolen bases than the San Francisco Giants, which means that teams actually run more on the Giants. Now, with each passing year, it's becoming more and more clear that a strong, deep bullpen is a requirement for winning. It's not a luxury, it's a necessity in this day and age when starters are routinely pulled after 6 innings of work. People seem to focus on the inability of the Detroit Tigers' Big Three or the failure of Clayton Kershaw to close things out this past season, but the fact is both the Tigers and the Dodgers were done in this postseason by shaky relief corps. Having your starter fail late in the game is more a result of not having anyone else to go to than anything else. Now, both the Royals and the Giants bring strong bullpens into this World Series, though their bullpens are built very differently and used very differently as well. Kansas City's bullpen is somewhat top-heavy, with ace setup men Kelvin Herrera, Wade Davis, and closer Greg Holland shouldering most of the load. Now, if manager Ned Yost has a lead in the 7th inning, or sometimes even in the 6th, he turns the game over to those 3, and they have almost always come through. In fact, including the postseason, the Royals are 68-5 when leading after 6 innings, 75-1 leading after 7, and 82-1 when leading after 8. In essence, the Royals only have to get 18 outs, and the odds suggest that the game is over. That's a huge advantage. Now, the Giants, on the other hand, have some more depth to their bullpen. Closers Santiago Casilla and setup men Jeremy Affeldt and Sergio Romo are obviously very good, but they're no Herrera, Davis, and Holland. The difference here lies in the middle relief, where San Francisco has standouts like Gene Maki, Javier Lopez, and Yasmiro Petit. The Royals rely on Jason Frasser, Tim Collins, and Brandon Finnegan in those spots. One of the more interesting things you're likely to see here is that manager Bruce Bochy will match up his best pitcher for any given situation in any given spot, while Ned Yost simply lets his relievers role play. If Bochy feels that the most important out of the game is in the 7th inning with the bases loaded, he'll bring in anyone he needs to get that out in that spot, including his closer. If he needs to get outs against a string of lefties to close out a game, he'll use Jeremy Affeldt. Ned Yost, on the other hand, simply gives the same 3 guys the same late innings regardless of the score or situation. Now, the Royals have swept their way through the playoffs, and they also own a sweep of the San Francisco Giants this season. The Royals took all 3 from the visiting Giants back in early August, outscoring them 16-6. The series included wins over Madison Bumgarner and Tim Hudson. Now, for Ned Yost, the ideal setup is to get 6 innings from his starter with the lead intact or the game still close. Then he can turn the game over to his dominant bullpen. But that's only happened 3 times so far in 8 games. Now, if the Royals starters can routinely lock down 18 outs with limited damage, and that means having the lead, entering the 7th with the game tied or even down a run, the Royals have a huge edge here. If not, the Royals won't get to use their biggest asset, and the edge switches to the Giants. The other advantage the Giants have here is that when they play at home, Billy Butler will likely be relegated to a pinch hitting role. Butler doesn't have overly impressive numbers on the season, but he's a professional hitter, and he was clutch down the stretch this season. Now, the right-handed slugger is only 6 for 27 this postseason. That's a .222 average. And he's really the only Royals regular who hasn't made a huge impact in the postseason. The Royals would like that to change with lefty Madison Bumgarner starting for them in Game 1. Butler, who hit .321 against left-handers during the regular season, was 2 for 3 with a home run and 3 RBI against Bumgarner when they squared off back in early August. Enjoy the series, everyone. It should be a great matchup. For Roto Experts and the Fantasy Sports Network, I'm Mike Cardano.